Good evening and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Marcus, otherwise known as Triple M. Thank you for joining us this evening. As usual, I am in the company of the two humble gentlemen, Shawnee and Ruritabile, who will help me in presenting our top 5 video that we have for you today. Top 5 best and worst current players at Manchester United according to the opinions of the two lovely voices that join me this evening. So I hope you enjoy the show. If you do, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and perhaps leave a comment as well. I'd appreciate that a lot, and so would my colleagues. Without any further ado, gentlemen, let's get the show on the road with the worst top 5. Let's see what you gentlemen have for us.
So, Moloto's choices will be on the left, mine will be on the right, and we'll start from number 5.
All right. Number 5, Luke Shaw and Eric Bailly. Oh my God. Controversial. Much?
The reason I picked Shaw is that, I felt like, he's just, he's looked second to Brandon Williams this season. I don't see much improvement from Luke Shaw personally. And I think going forward, if you look at it, I don't see this guy being a Man United player in the future. And this season, I haven't really been amazed by him.
Right. Really? Do you want to explain yourself?
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can respond to Shawnee first, obviously. But
again, I wouldn't put him in worst, though. I mean, yes, he isn't as prolific as a left wing playing at a big team would be, but then he's done his job. I think defensively he's been pretty good. I mean, he slotted into that 3 at the back sometimes, and he's looked at home in the left back position. Attack is a big part of the modern day football, but then he's a left back. And in terms of being a left back, he does pretty well. And personally, this is an excuse, and I recognize that you can't give excuses. He is good, very good going forward. I mean, that's the whole reason we bought him from Southampton. So I think it's more an injury problem. So I wouldn't say I would like him to stay at the club and be the number 1 left back going forward, but I wouldn't put him in the top 5 worst.
Oh, this is from 5 going up to 1, right?
Yeah, this is number 5.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Because I was having anxiety. I thought Lingard of all people would make number 1. Okay, so it's 5 to 1. Cool. You guys are redeemed.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Eric Bailly comments. When a player is injured, they're just as good as having nobody in the team. Like, that's fair to say. And so I can completely agree with Eric Bailly being on this list. Luke Shaw, I don't know about making the top 5 worst players in Manchester United at the moment, but I can also see that argument because he is an injury-prone player, and everybody knows my opinions on injury-prone players. If you're injury-prone and you're always in the recovery room and with the medical staff, then mate, bruh, come on, That's my opinion on injured players. And these guys are both injury prone, so I can't make an argument for them to not be on this list. I really can't. And Shaw has been poor this season for his standards and what we expect of him. I don't think he's been nearly as atrociously bad as people are saying. I just think it's more frustration because, as you said, he's been injured. And he just never picks up form. Every time he starts to pick up form, injured.
Yeah,
so it's sad.
I think he's very similar to Bailly. With Bailly, look, we know this guy can be a good player. He can be talented, and he showed spells of it. But then he's never on the pitch consistently enough to show us that. And when he does come back, it takes a while to get the groove of it. And off-form Bailly can be very dangerous.
Off-form Bailly is like it's either a red card waiting to happen or a stretcher waiting to come onto the field. Like it's a sub. It's an extra sub that you've got to use as a manager. A waste.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're not denying his talent, but I think with that said, he deserves to be on this list.
Yeah. I like that. Before we move on to the next one, I like that. Please do smash a thumbs up if you're enjoying this. But I like that. I think that's a very brilliant point. Talent and skill is one thing, but talent and skill mean nothing if you're not able to stay fit long enough. Like if I'm a lawyer, right? And I work at a law firm, and I'm the most talented worker at that law firm, but I'm not there half the time because I've got personal issues and I never show up to work. There's no point. Like the company might as well lay me off, So I agree with that 100%. You've got to take everything into consideration. So let's see where this list goes.
Number 4 on the list was unanimous. Malot and I both had agreed on who's the 4th worst player in United, and that's none other than Static Matic. I mean, I was actually considering maybe not putting him on here, or maybe 5th, but because he has been good in the last few games, but yeah, I still think he's one of our worst players. I don't know.
I can actually think of 4 players off the top of my head who are worse than Matic, but yeah, Molov, you can go first.
Look, I think the last few games he has been on form, but there's a few things that go into this. One, I think he's not up for the Premier League anymore. If we want a player who's going to play in the Premier League, be prolific and start for us, maybe off the bench, but we're comparing to the rest of the squad. And for a player of his age and he's lost a yard of pace, I just don't think he's up for it anymore. And for me, the bigger picture with this one, it's the message that United is sending. We want to revamp the squad. We want youth. We want to go forward. And I think he screams the complete opposite of that. So I think it's time for Matic to move on. Hence, I agree with him being on this list.
We're building for the future. We're also signing Igalo, but we're building for the future. That's the important thing. Yeah, no, I can understand it. I mean, it's hard to make a case against a player like Matic, because it's not just about skill and talent, it's about longevity. I was going to actually compare him to younger players, but I just realized that I would be contradicting myself because at least with younger players, there's the prospect of improvement. And also if they stay fit, they're actually in the team consistently and they give you that extra yard of pace that you need in the Premier League, unfortunately. Any other league in the world, I'd make an argument for this guy, but the Premier League, he's got to go. I think you're 100% right. You need the pace and the physicality in this league above all. And I think that's why he has to be on this list in comparison to everything that we have.
Yeah, definitely.
Next
and like
one?
I said, the form, recent form, I took it into consideration, but still, I still think he's one of our worst players. The next one is very interesting. Malot and I, for number 3 and 2, have agreed on the players, but in the order is different.
Can I just say something before you switch?
Okay, cool.
To agree with what you said, actually, you can't. You can't just go in recent form, and that's a valid point by Shawnee. You can't just go in recent form. You have to take the player's future, and how well they'll play in the future, as well as how well they've done since they've got here, not just the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, we can move on.
So yeah, in number 3, Moloto went for Andreas. She's not the best picture of Phil Jones, but I picked Phil Jones as 3rd. And then for 2nd, it's just the other way around. So Moloto went for Jones to be 2nd worst, and I went for Andreas Pereira to be 2nd worst.
Wow.
Look, I just don't see how you can put Jones above Pereira. Jones is bad.
No, Jones is bad, but I don't think he's been as bad as Pereira recently, and in his United career. I think I would take Jones personally over Pereira first. I
think Pereira in the last few games, yes, he seems like he's lost his head, but over the whole season, he hasn't been amazing. But then he does put in a shift here and there. He does assist here and there. He does show courage here and there. Jones just seems to always mess up when he's on the pitch. He always makes a mistake. I've seen one game, and I think it's the last game he played. One game where he played well. Besides that, he's a klutz. He's always making mistakes. He makes rash tackles. I don't see what Sir Alex Ferguson is seeing in this player.
What I see with Jones is that, defensively, when you need a backup or whatever, push comes to shove, I'll take a Jones. But with Pereira, I'm starting to see, and what I have seen is that, I just don't think this guy is good enough, even for championship level. Phil Jones might get into a Crystal Palace side or somewhere Premier League side, but I just don't think Andreas Pereira could get in any Premier League side.
Look, there's an easy way to settle this argument. Since Phil Jones has got into the Manchester United setup, so ignoring this season and the mistakes he's made this season, at least I know what to expect from Phil Jones. I don't mind a rash defender. I don't mind a defender who will get a yellow card and a red card every now and then. I do mind an unintelligent footballer. in my attacking part of the pitch. I do mind that a lot. And I think with Andres Pereira, even though he's a victim of a poor system and he's been run into the ground by a manager who's trying to play for his job and there's a lack of squad depth, blah, 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 broken record, I think Andres Pereira has shown that he's just not it. He's just not it. And I'm actually starting to believe that he's never going to be it, because there's very few young players that actually break through from a youth academy into a professional first team side and actually go on to become the players that everybody expects them to become, whether that's an average mid-table Premier League player or a great player. Very few players actually achieve that because of a lot of things. Like statistically, it's very unlikely. And there's nothing that Andres Pereira has done for me to suggest that he is a future player for Manchester United. Some things don't have anything to do with systems and tactics. Pass the ball. That's got nothing to do with coaching. You know, your skill, your ability to pass the ball from one teammate to another teammate, your ability to take a shot and hit the target. Nothing to do with skill. This guy can't hit the target to save his life. He can't hit the target to save his life.
Phil Jones has got a goal this season. Why? That's one goal than Andreas Pereira.
This guy can't hit the target, you know. This guy cannot hit a goal. Or he can't even aim straight towards the keeper, you know. This guy can... Yeah?
You can go on.
Oh, okay. My final point is this guy, all I've seen in this kid is flair. But flair is not enough. You need other things. All I've seen is fancy tricks in the corner against three players. It's not freestyle Volta football. It's not street soccer. It's football. You need to be good at other things. And I haven't seen anything that suggests that this guy can turn into a professional footballer, at least for Manchester United. I haven't seen it. You know, I don't even think he'd make it into a freaking... Maybe he'd make it into Norwich, but I don't think he'd make it into a Bournemouth or Burnley at this point in time. I'm being dead honest.
I agree, but I feel like Phil Jones is all that and more, because this guy's consistently bad. He's consistently bad. He's always making mistakes. He's always defending badly. We can visibly see we're weaker when Phil Jones is on the pitch.
Yeah, but I can confidently say that over the last few years, as a Manchester United fan, at least in my opinion, and based on what I've seen from Phil Jones, that I know what I'm getting. With Andres Pereira, there's nothing. And Jones isn't meant to be the first team full centre-back for Manchester United. He's just a squad player anyways. So I'm not saying Jones should start for Manchester United, but heck, play him against Tranmere, sure. But, you know, someone like Andres Pereira, even against the Tranmere side, I have question marks about this kid. I have serious question marks. Yeah. You can't.
I don't want to defend him too much. I do feel like he is a victim of a bad system, but yeah.
There's some things that have nothing to do with the system that this guy's not doing, and hitting the target is one of them.
I was about to get to that. I feel like he does lack a lot, especially in the position they're trying to play him in. He's just not number 10. Actually, we don't know what he is. I was watching an analyst show. They were also saying that they don't know what Pereira is. And he shows flashes there, but then he just dies out. Like, he can't cross the ball. He's not quick. He can't hold his position in the 10 and find those cute passes. So, yeah, he's just not good enough for this club. Personally, I feel like there could be a player in there. And here's the thing, I can't even try to figure out a position. But I do think a year in the championship would help this guy.
I think, you know, this is going to be harsh, but I'm starting to hop on the train that this guy is not actually from Brazil, and he should consider some other career options, genuinely, because I don't know what team would sign a player like this in England. I genuinely don't.
We've asked too much from this player and from these youth players. Yes, some of them perform like Mason Greenwood, but
we've definitely asked too much of these players. And I agree with that. This is definitely a bad system. I agree with that. Yeah. Andres Pereira definitely has the potential to be a footballer in the future. I agree with that 100%. I can't prove anything against that. But going back to what I said earlier, there's just some things that have nothing to do with a poor system. And I don't know when was the last time I saw this guy hit the target. So, and I don't know when was the last time I saw this guy thread genuinely a good pass where I was like, damn, you know. I've seen him do amazing tricks with the ball, and perhaps that's something to build on, but it's not enough. I think, you know, without getting too deep into this or without disrespecting Andres Pereira too much, I think you should just go become a freestyler, mate. Like, just go do tricks on for the YouTube, you know, and go play indoor or something. Because I don't know if the Premier League's for you, mate. I think maybe Championship football is for him, but not the Premier League.
I think we should. I want to give him a try. He's young. I want to give him a chance.
Yeah, he is young, and that's like the kryptonite for this argument. But I think I would like to see this guy go somewhere else in Europe, not here in England. I don't think he's going to work in England. Genuinely, like, I'm right. If I was a scout for Manchester United, I would be writing this kid off and saying, like, nah, you know, there is a player in him, and I agree with the fact that he has potential. But I think he'd do well elsewhere in Europe. I don't think he'll work in the Premier League unless he has some super amazing teammates around him.
That's true. I think
he needs to go elsewhere.
Alone, it can be abroad and it can be in the Championship. I think either way works. Just to see what he's got in maybe a different environment, and then you never know what you get. But definitely not for Manchester United at this moment in time.
Yeah, a loan can't hurt you, because if you loan someone out, firstly, someone else is paying the salaries, or at least half or a percentage of the salaries, and they're getting the player, so you don't have to worry about him until however long the loan deal is for. So I agree with that. Playing in the Championship can't possibly hurt this guy. It will either expose him more or make him a better player.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so number 2 was just the inverse of this.
Yeah, just the inverse.
As Ronnie said.
The number 1 worst player in Manchester United, without a shadow of the doubt, Marcus I'm joking, it's Jesse Lingard. Let's not kid ourselves, yeah. This guy, I don't even have to say anything about Jesse Lingard and why he's on this list and why he's at pole position as the worst Manchester United player in the club. I mean,
but he's only 14 years old. He's young.
The actual stats is like, I don't know. This guy is 27. This is prime Jesse Lingard. Prime. And this is him at his prime. This is scary. Oh my god, it's scary.
Oh wait, by the way, Reta, you know his celebration, it's actually supposed to mimic the J and the L letter in the alphabet. You were asking the other day what that celebration is. It's J Lings, boy. J Lings.
So much like this Lingard.
J Lings, boy. Jesse Messi.
Like, you even have to talk about this.
Yeah, like, you know, I was going to say Andreas Pereira isn't a Premier League player, like more like a Championship, right? Now, Jesse Lingard, he isn't a footballer. He isn't. He's just a man with a brand, and that's it. J Links, that's his brand. This guy's not a footballer. I refuse to believe.
I'm going to be honest. Let banter aside, jokes aside, disrespect towards Jesse Lingard aside, okay? I think you can't judge a player on one season. Do I think Jesse Lingard is good enough for Manchester United? Hell no. Do I think Jesse Lingard at the moment would get into any other Premier League team? Hell no. But at least with Jesse Lingard, and if I compare him to Andreas Pereira, at least with Jesse Lingard, I've seen what he's made of and what he can offer to a team. And I think this guy does have a career in football, but it's not in the Premier League. I think for him, he just has to go somewhere else. This guy can hit the target. He can pass the ball. He can make intelligent runs off the ball to disrupt defenses. There are things about Jesse Lingard that have nothing to do with the system he's playing in that you can say, hey, that's a Jesse Lingard thing. There's things that you identify with this player. With Andres Pereira, there's nothing. I don't identify anything with Andres Pereira besides an occasional samba with the ball and, you know, an amazing skill in the corner to get past 3 guys. But other than that, I don't know anything about Andres Pereira that I can tell you, you know, this is something I like Andres Pereira for. Jack Squat. At least with Lingard, and to be fair to Lingard, I've seen why he is a player for Manchester United. I don't agree with it, but I've seen why he's in the team.
Yeah,
and although he's having his worst season, you know, you've got to cut him a bit of slack.
Yeah, and I think lots of fans will put Pereira below Lingard, but like for me, you know, Lingard is the worst player.
For the bands, I have to agree. I have to agree for the bands. At least Pereira is young.
Yeah.
Jesse shit. For Manchester United, anyways.
This might shock people, but I do think there's a player in there. I think when he came out with the mental health issues, he was onto something. I think it's a combination of that and a poor system and him not being the most amazing footballer. But like players don't just become bad overnight. We've seen something from this guy. We've seen him score the final goal in the FA Cup. We've seen him go to the World Cup and actually be consistent at the World Cup. I just think at this moment in time, he's just been really bad. So judging on the season alone, he's just offered nothing to us. He runs, he tries to press, but it doesn't really count for much if the rest of the teams are doing it. But besides that, he passes side to side. He never tries to pick the difficult ball. He never plays long balls. He never shoots. He does absolutely nothing.
He's not the only one. It's funny, Andreas Pereira is also struggling with mental health issues at the moment. And I'd imagine a lot of players in that Manchester United team are suffering with mental health issues because a lot of them don't have PR training and social media training prior to joining a club like Manchester United. So a lot of them, you know, these guys are on social media, so a lot of them will be aware of what people are saying about them, you know. They'll be aware of what the pundits, what the analysts, and what some of their fans are saying about them. They will, because I think a lot of footballers, and I think Jesse Lingard in particular, who's a better example, they're becoming more open to sharing their lives on social media, and that inadvertently means they have to interact with people, right? And you know, everybody's not positive on social media. We all know what kind of place that is, and I feel like a lot of these players don't know, they don't have the right tools, and they haven't been equipped properly with how to deal with all this scrutiny and criticism. And it's with Jesse Lingard, it's not that. Obviously, he was going through some stuff at home, and then you put that on top. But with someone like Andreas Pereira, I think that's pretty much what it is. And I obviously don't know Andreas Pereira personally. I'm just talking from what I see, you know. So I don't know what he's going through behind closed doors. I feel like Dan James is also struggling with something similar as well, because I've seen a drop in his body language and his general demeanor ever since he dropped off. I think, Brandon Williams has actually been good. I think Luke Shaw struggles a bit, although he's a lot older and a lot more experienced, so he can get himself up for games and he's a professional. But I haven't seen the same Luke Shaw. And I'm not just talking about the football. I mean, his body language, his facial expressions. A lot of players of this team just don't seem happy.
Look, I don't want to be controversial, and I think the club should get a psychologist or someone to deal with this. But I just feel like it comes to the job. It really comes to the job. With all the fans, there will always be haters. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
The biggest celebrities, Justin Bieber has haters. With all the amount of fans he has haters. And that's just the nature of being in the spotlight. I'm not trying to be harsh. That's just the reality, really.
Well, yeah, and if anybody's listening to this, I'm not defending or trying to make excuses for these players, but I'm just pointing out what I see from afar to kind of explain a reason as to why they're playing so poorly, especially Jesse Lingard. It's very easy to say these players are professional footballers, they get paid a lot of money. It's very easy to say that that's what comes with the job. But we're all human, and you can't take that away. There's a human element to sports that we often neglect sometimes. And I'm not going to sit here and say that we should give Jesse Lingard a contract extension because of his mental health issues. No, he should leave the club and he should go somewhere else, because it's unacceptable for Manchester United. But we've got to be very careful with these types of things, because these are human beings. They're not androids. You know, you don't just sign a contract for a club and then become immune to hate and negativity, you know. And I think that's very important. And we've got to learn to stop being so hostile towards our players. There's nothing wrong with criticizing a player's football and what form he's in, but to go out of your way to attack and spread negativity and toxicity about a player beyond the football is just a bit unnecessary. And these guys are human. They can't not be human. And I think getting a sports psychologist for Manchester United is a very, very good idea, because a lot of these players are young. That's the problem. A lot of these players are young. Bar Jesse Lingard, all the players I mentioned earlier, Dan James, Pereira, they're young. They don't know what it feels like to be on the front page of a team that has over 1 million followers and to have half of those comments be negative. You know, oh, you're just a speed merchant, blah, 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 you know. They don't know what it feels like.
I feel like a lack of leaders in the dressing room also makes it a very fragile dressing room because there's no one to pick them up.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are people trying to pick them up, but I just don't think it's the right people,
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing, but yeah, there's no proper leaders in the dressing room, definitely.
Yeah.
And there's no one to restore the belief and confidence in these players as well. But I think we've said enough about that. I think we can move to the more positive list.
Now, before I go into the list, just remember Moloto's choices are on the left, mine are on the right. Now, in hindsight, looking at my list, I feel like I'm gonna get hated in the comments a little bit, just a little bit. And also, Moloto and I, just a heads up, we did not have one person that we totally agreed on.
Jeez.
So yeah, we didn't agree on a single person in a specific order. So starting with number 5, these are the best players in our, Moloto and I opinion, at Manchester United. And number 5.
Anthony Martial at number 5. Greenwood on this list. Interesting. Explain yourselves, gentlemen. Explain yourselves.
Moloto, you want to go first? Okay, I'll go first. First of all, I'm Martial FC, right? Martial is not on my list in the top 5. I think Greenwood is better than Martial. I think that this guy at his age, coming into a situation he's coming in to get the goals he's getting, is just unbelievable. And I think, honestly...
Hasn't he scored more than Martial?
Yeah, he's good. He's got 10 goals. This guy's got 10 goals. And he's done it in way less game time as well. So without a doubt, Mason Greenwood is definitely in my top 5. I think Mason Greenwood has won us very important games as well, especially in cup competitions. And Martial, for what to expect from him, I think he's been good this season, but I just thought he's been lacking, and Greenwood has just been excellent. I can't ever fault Greenwood really.
Look, I'll start with why I haven't put Greenwood on this list. He's amazing. He looks like he'll be a great talent, but that's just it. He's only been here for 2 minutes. So I just don't want to jump to any conclusions. He's a good player, but in terms of it being a top 5 list, I just don't want to jump to those kind of conclusions. So I'm not saying he's a bad player. I just don't think he's been consistent enough or long enough, done this consistently long enough to be on this list. With Martial, he does have periods where he's off form, but he offers us so much when he's on form, and he's won us so many points. He's changed games for us so many times, and it's not like his scoring record is that bad. So with that said, compared to everybody else, I think he produces more than the rest. That's why he deserves to be honest.
And I must say that I was gonna put a player that Moloto put on later in the list instead of Greenwood, and I thought about it and I forgot, and I kind of feel bad looking at it now. But we'll just come to that.
I don't agree with Greenwood for 2 reasons, especially if you're comparing. So number 1, if you're comparing Greenwood specifically to Anthony Martial is more pedigree. So it's like trying to compare Mbappe to Messi or Ronaldo. Mbappe hasn't been here long enough, so that's an unfair comparison. Well, it's the same with Mason Greenwood. He's only been here for 2 minutes, so you can't possibly make that. Well, you can make that comparison, but you can't make it objectively, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no,
so
definitely. And everyone knows I'm Greenwood FC.
Yeah, for that argument, I have to say no to Greenwood. But just in general, again, he's only been here for 2 minutes, and what does Greenwood actually offer to the team? Yes, he's a goal machine, but other than that, what does this guy actually bring to the table? I don't think we've seen enough. What does he actually bring to the table? At least with Martial, we know his hold-up play, and he's an intelligent footballer compared to the rest of his locker room. There's an argument to be made. I don't know about Greenwood yet, because scoring goals, for me, does not put you in a top 5 list in such a struggling team. You need to contribute more than just scoring goals. If our team was complete and Greenwood was our main striker and he was banging in goals, yeah. But I don't know if it's enough yet. I mean, he has started a few games and he's been poor. He's been poor. He hasn't offered anything.
Yeah. Martial makes us a better team. Yes, in the last few weeks, maybe someone can question that. But when he's on the wing, we knew where the threat was coming from. We knew when he got the ball, he's going to take on players. And he made things happen by doing that. maybe some might argue not consistent enough, but he did make things happen. When he's playing through the middle, his hold-up play is very important. The fact that we don't have a great midfield, with him there, it just eases that pain a little more. And I feel like it's no surprise that Rashford ticked when Martial turned back. We know he's not playing the striker anymore, but with that hold-up and that combination, it really helps Rashford. So as much as he doesn't score as much as we'd like, I think he offers so much to the team in other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's a difficult one. Get down in the comments below.
You think this is a difficult one?
Yeah, say that Greenwood is better than Martial. This is your time to get roasted. I'm joking. No.
I'm about to get roasted for the next one. I'm about to get killed in the comment section below for the next one. I can feel it already. I can feel the eyes on the back of my neck already.
Oh, why don't you show us what you're talking about and explain yourself?
Ooh.
Rashford at 4? That's a bit harsh. At 4?
Yeah. Bring it on, guys. I knew this was gonna come, but
I wonder who you put at number 3, 2, and 1. I know Pogba's there somewhere. I know De Gea might be there. So I hope De Gea is up there. Oh wait, you guys didn't agree on anything. That means one of you didn't put De Gea in. Oh my god, one of them didn't. Oh my god, wow.
That's the thing. I regret it. I was supposed to put De Gea at my 5th position, and then I looked back after I did the things, and I was like, oh yeah, how can I forget about De Gea? So in hindsight, De Gea's there, but in terms of Rashford, he's definitely my 4th. Rashford is definitely been our savior and our hero this season. But
I agree with Rashford on this list in general. But,
I think Rashford has to get on this list. I think this guy is
19 goals this season.
That's
more than any other United striker in a long time.
And like I said, without Rashford this season, who knows also where it would be. But when I look at other season stuff, Rashford has been good still. Whether he beats the guys who I put ahead of him now, maybe he beats the next guy, but for me, he doesn't beat the other two. And but Rashford, like I said, I got tough love for Rashford. I love the kid. Don't get me wrong, he's been amazing. This season he's probably been. I wouldn't be surprised he got player of the season if he came back and continued where he left off. But for me, he's our number 4th best player.
Look, yes, I agree with Rashford being here, but I definitely not in this position. I think much higher. And I don't want to get too much into him, but I feel like he wins games for us. He wins points for us. I guess you can say, what's this? Maybe Wan-Bissaka. I'm assuming you have Wan-Bissaka on this list. Wan-Bissaka does that in a way, but then with Rashford, I feel like he's taking us from positions where it seemed like we'd get nothing and just turn the game around. Yes,
I can give you 15 instances where Rashford's goal literally won us the game. Subtract 15 of those 19 goals and we lose so many games.
I think because it's so much that I feel like he can't be this low on this list. With Wan-Bissaka, I think he definitely deserves to be here. As much as he's been here for a short period, he's been very consistent. Like, we just know when a player comes running down, doesn't matter where. Sterling, yes, there was one moment for Firmino, but bar that, he's extremely consistent, and we know he can take care of him. He does like going there. If I have to grill him, I'd say that he does make situations difficult for himself. He does always try take on the man instead of standing in an intelligent position and just killing it dead or immediately. But besides that, tackling defensively, he's amazing, and you can question him going forward. But he definitely deserves to be on this list.
Agreed. Marcus Rashford is.
I feel like I just stabbed Marcus and like every other United fan in the heart right now.
Not really. I think the fact that Rashford's on the list makes a huge difference. If you didn't have Rashford on your list, then that would have been a bit questionable. What I will say is that Sean is clearly goalkeeperist, like racism, but just towards goalkeepers. He just neglected a potential.
I forgot, guys. I forgot.
It's unbelievable. But the show must go on.
I was like, no, I have to have Mason there in my list. Come on.
Wow. It is. Wow. Unbelievable. Anyways, let's move on.
Number 3. There we go.
Hey.
So Moloto obviously went for Paul Pogba, and I went for Wan-Bissaka. It's like what Moloto is saying. I think defensively, I can't floor Wan-Bissaka once. I think defensively he's been like 10 out of 10 for me. Going forward, he can improve, but I think, for what he has, and considering he doesn't have a proper right wing, I think he's been pretty decent. Wan-Bissaka is definitely my favorite signing of the summer. He's definitely my favorite player at the moment. I think he's player of the season for me currently. And yeah, everything about Wan-Bissaka I agree with. Whether he beats the next two, I didn't think so in terms of quality. But for me, I can't fault this guy, and I think I want to give Wan-Bissaka definitely the recognition he deserves.
Look, yes, he hasn't played much this season, but I feel like he just has to be on this list. And I've mentioned why I think Wan-Bissaka is good, hence I had him on the list. But with Paul Pogba, I think the numbers speak for themselves. He's inconsistent, but even with that inconsistency, he's one of our, if not our most productive player on this team.
Yeah, if Paul Pogba's not in your top 5 list, you're not serious. Just go have a nap and wake up when you're serious about life.
Apparently had a bad season. Stats-wise, he was the best midfielder in the Premier League.
Exactly.
In the Premier League. So that's freaking amazing. This guy can hold the ball. He can spread the long passes. He can find the cute ball. He can
shoot from far.
It's like, what can't Paul Pogba do?
Playing the 6.
Okay, well, yeah, but
I'm joking. I'm just taking a piss.
He can play the quarterback position in the 6. Maybe not defensively, but in modern day, some managers do tend to neglect that. But then
I think. Yeah, sorry. Finish your goal.
Going forward, you can't fault this guy. The only thing you can fault this guy on is consistency. That's why his price is still so high. He's had very inconsistent seasons, but he's still valued at like 150 million. So that just says it all.
I think this is an unpopular opinion, but I've always believed that Pogba can play in the 6. I don't think he can be the best in the world at the 6, obviously. I don't think he can be that good in the 6, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think he has a lot to offer if he had the right coaching, the right system, and the right players around him. I think he could make a great number 6. It's a bit harder to build a case for him because he's on the wrong side, of 26 now. Mm-hmm. Or 25. How old is he? 26, right?
Around there, yeah, I think so.
Okay. He's on the wrong side of his 20s, rather, I should say.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of his 20s.
He's not a super young player anymore, so there's not that much room for development in other positions. But as a midfielder going forward, oh my God, if he's not on your list, just go take a nap and call us when you're serious.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a Pogba agenda out there. There's definitely.
Yeah.
I think it started with the whole price tag thing, but I think it depends on the system. If you want to play an Ola type system, a Mourinho type at Chelsea, he's probably one of the best in the world. Because if you're looking for a Carrick type of 6 who's going to distribute the ball, doesn't get better than Paul Pogba. I think there's a few instances you can look back. You don't even have to go far. Spurs, that long ball hit for Rashford. First game of the season, another ball hit for Rashford. If you want to play distribute, if you have a player who's going to sit and take care of the job defensively, and next to him you want a player who's going to distribute on the counter, Pogba's your man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, one more thing to add before we move on to the next part of this list. I respect everybody's opinion in football, but I don't agree with everybody's opinion in football. Obviously, none of us do. And I think I get very uncomfortable when people talk about Paul Pogba's price tag because, firstly, it's not even your money. Would you rather that money went to the Glazers? Would you rather that money went into the Glazers' holiday fund and add on to the £1 billion they've already taken out of this club? Number one. And number two, again, it's not even your money. What do you care? Do you have shares in Manchester United? Like, how does overpaying for a player impact your life in any way, shape, or form? Would you rather we don't buy players like Paul Pogba? Because apparently overpaying is so damaging to the club. I've never understood that opinion. Even with Maguire, the 80 million price tag. Like, so what? It's not your money. Who cares? Like, who cares, for real? I don't get the Pogba agenda when it comes to his price tag. Any other argument against Paul Pogba, fine, I'll listen. But the price, that's a pet peeve of mine, man. Yeah. But anyways, let's move on.
All right, number 2. Here is where I missed Molota's David there, but Molota didn't include my boy, Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno's played one game.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think overall looking at it, and if I had to look on paper, and list our best players, I think Bruno Fernandes is definitely our second best player. I think it might be biased, and it is definitely favoritism. But I think Bruno Fernandes, even in the one game I watched of him, he offered everything that United need, everything.
I don't think we can make that conclusion though. I genuinely don't. I agree that Bruno Fernandes, in terms of skill, is probably our second best player at the moment. But in terms of a top 5 Manchester United players in the last few years, he's only been here for one game. So I don't know. I don't know about that one. But hey, it's your opinion.
Look, I don't deny the skill, but I feel like it's very unfair on the rest of the players at Manchester United to include him here because he only played one game. I think
what if he goes on to become the worst player in the next 5 games? We don't know. But anyways, continue.
I think that's the thing. With De Gea, do I even need to defend him? He's been player of the season how many times?
Yeah, this guy, you don't have to defend him. Yeah.
He's world class.
This guy, De Gea is world class, without that.
Yeah, he's definitely world class.
He's the only goalkeeper in the world that can save a team from relegation.
Legit. And we've seen in the last few games, especially, how good, we got reminded of how good De Gea is.
We would have lost 7-0 to City if it wasn't for De Gea.
Exactly.
Even though people are giving him shtick.
Yeah, I just worry. I just wonder what positions we would have finished in the past 6 or so years without this guy.
Yeah.
I feel like he's won so many points from us from the back. He's world class. Yes, he's made a few mistakes this season, but overall, I can think of so many games where he was just a brick wall. The Spurs game, that was the one I always remember. His trademark saving with his feet. He did it 7 times in the game. It was flipping amazing. My favorite save goes back to the one against Sevilla in the Champions League. I have no idea how he saved it. No idea.
Yeah.
So he's world class. I think he gets into pretty much any team in the world.
Okay, De Gea fanboy. No problems with De Gea making this list. And actually, no real problems with Bruno Fernandes making this list. I just have question marks about how high he is.
Well, he still needs to prove himself. He's only played one game and stuff like that. But, I want to give it to him. I think I want to back him. I
would have put him at number 5.
Yeah, possibly could have been more fair. Definitely.
I would have removed Martial or Greenwood from the list.
Yeah, that's the thing. If I could redo it, I would put definitely De Gea in somewhere. I'd completely forgot about De Gea.
Blasphemy. Absolute
Yes,
blasphemy.
indeed.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So this has been interesting. We had Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we had Paul Pogba, we had David De Gea, we had Martial. I think is there one more missing? This is number 2 and number 1.
This is number 1.
Oh,
Number 1.
So we've had
Number 1. And yeah, because we didn't agree on anything. So this is number 1. Malot's is number 1 and mine number 1. I think if you know me long enough, there ain't no disputing who's my number 1. There's not even a freaking question. You can get out here if you try to convince me otherwise who's our number 1 player in Manchester United. I don't have to say much about this. Paul Pogba he's also still my favorite player. Bar Bruno, Bar Rashford, Bar Martial.
I think the only person who can be argued against Paul Pogba is David De Gea, in my opinion, because David De Gea has been consistently world class for Manchester United pretty much every season except this season, whereas Paul Pogba has been very inconsistent and is injured half the time. So that's the only argument you can make. Anybody else in the team, I don't think really. Maybe Bruno Fernandes in the next 3 seasons can make it.
And I was thinking about it. I was thinking about I was even thinking combined 11s in the Premier League. I was thinking, De Gea might not get over Alisson or Edison, but I think Paul Pogba still gets into any team. I think any team in the world. I think Paul Pogba. I think this guy is one of the best players in the world, let alone United.
I disagree, honestly. I think he gets in on stature, not form, not how he's been playing consistently. And I've already sang my Paul Pogba praises, but I think De Gea has been far more consistent than Paul Pogba has. And skewing it more towards this season, I think obviously he hasn't played. So, but we can't use that as an excuse. I think this season, without Rashford, we're nothing. I saw we might be close to where Arsenal is. We're nothing.
Yeah, but that is a bit unfair because you're judging a player on his entire career and being consistently world class in his entire career on the one hand in De Gea, and then you're judging Rashford on one wonder season.
No, yeah, it's like what I did with
so
like Greenwood and Bruno on the list as well.
I mean, look, it is your opinion, and if you think that outweighs everything, that's fine. I was just pointing it out. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or say that you're wrong.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just pointing out what I see.
It's debatable, and I would debate it myself, but I just thought it made more sense to skew this towards this season. But moving from that, I think this season Rashford has just been phenomenal. He, as I've said, he's questionable in his decision making, but he scores the goals. He gets us the points. There's so many points have gone from Rashford. I don't know what are the goals you said. You said the stat.
15.
He scored 19 goals, and I can give you 15 different circumstances, or at least 13 different circumstances actually, where if you remove Rashford's goals, we don't win those games. And one of them is the City game at Etihad, the famous one that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got. You remove this guy from Manchester United, and we're not even making top 10 at the moment. We'd be fighting with Arsenal.
Yeah.
I did like that's why I also had Greenwood and like Bruno kind of in the list, because I also like I wanted to try skew it a little bit towards the season as well. But even when I skew it, yeah, my opinion won't change on Paul Pogba being the best United player.
And I feel like Martial has his flaws, but I feel like it's no mistake that he's dropped so much after Rashford left.
Yeah.
I feel like they combine very well.
I guess it is down to opinion, because I still don't believe Paul Pogba is a world-class player at the moment. When he won the World Cup, yeah, but at Manchester United, I personally haven't seen it. His stats have been great, but I just still don't believe that justifies him being a world-class player. I think the word world-class gets thrown around so much.
Yeah.
And for me, the true mark of a great player is if you can, one, be consistently great, and two, make others around you great as well. And with Pogba, it's just, I don't see it, man. I think he's just bigger than the club. And for me, that doesn't warrant you being a world-class player. That just means, again, your name carries more than your actual football. Especially this season, because he's not even here. And he's still in the conversation because of how big of a brand outside of Manchester United he has built for himself. But respect to him, he has a World Cup. He had a wonder season in Juventus. He's a very talented player. People are still adamant that he's the best midfielder in the Premier League. I personally don't agree with it, but I have a lot of respect for him, and he would make a top 5.
Yeah, and I think what I was going to say about Paul Pogba. I was going to say something. God.
I think consistency plays a very big part when it comes to world class. I remember Alan Shearer a few years ago said that what's his name again? Sergio Aguero is the only world-class striker in the Premier League. And yes, maybe some people can make a case for Harry Kane, but I understand where he came from, because he's the only one who's consistent season in, season out. He's always at the top of the scoring charts. And I think that is a very big part in having that status of world-class. One of the best in the world.
People love throwing the word world-class around, but that's hammer on the head. That's perfect. You have to be great season in, season out to be considered a world-class player, in my opinion. World-class is a bracket that is led by two of the greatest players in the world, in Messi and Ronaldo, at the moment. But there are other players who make that bracket for me. They're at the bottom of that bracket because of Messi and of how high Messi and Ronaldo are, but they're still in that bracket. And you can't put a player in that bracket if they don't consistently put up the numbers. You can't. You just can't. I mean, you can, but your opinion isn't that valid, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, it's a weird one with Paul.
Pogba, and what I was going to say, I actually remember what I was going to say about Paul. I was going to say that, despite Paul having an agenda, I think, people also still forget, even some United fans, I still believe Paul loves Manchester United. I still believe Paul is a big United fan. He's a class professional. Paul, you'll never see Paul downing tools or really that much. He gives everything. I see.
He's an elite player.
Yeah, he's an elite player. He's a professional. He'll do whatever he needs to do. He wanted to leave in the summer. He didn't make a big fuss about it even afterwards. He was like, okay, it is what it is. And now, unfortunately, he's been injured a lot. There's obviously speculation if he's injured or not. I believe he is injured. I don't believe any of the BS around Paul Pogba.
But I can't, first, just to end off the show, I can't believe that's an opinion someone can have. I can't believe I can say Paul Pogba is injured and someone can say, actually, I disagree. it's just a metaphor for the world we live in.
And this.
He's injured. He's injured. That is a fact. That is an undeniable fact. It is a statement that has come out from the club. If we're not going to believe what the club is saying based on our own personal agenda, then what's the
having
point?
Surgery, even. Like he put it up on his show. It's like, yeah, guys, I'm having surgery. It's like, what do you want? Like, what do you guys want from Paul? Like, like that's why I said, when or if Paul leaves, I wouldn't blame him. I hold nothing against him. I'll support Paul no matter where he goes, and I hope, and I do believe he will prove the whole world.
It's the flat worldists and the people who don't believe in climate change who think Paul Pogba isn't injured, who think Paul Pogba actually is faking an injury. The guy who's won a World Cup and has proven multiple times that he's an elite athlete who wants to win.
The guy who left Juventus side who can win everything domestically to come back to Man United.
Yeah, that guy's going to fake an injury because that guy...
The guy who's he's from our youth, basically. We brought him from our youth.
Yeah, it's a clear agenda. I mean, easy example. Where was De Bruyne last season? De Bruyne was injured for pretty much the whole season. They said nothing. Because it's not Paul Pogba. It's a clear agenda against Paul Pogba.
Well, that's what happens when you've got such a big brand, right? You've got haters, and sometimes the haters are just louder than the positive people, and that's just the way it is. That's the world we live in. But my God, I can't believe there's people who actually disagree with the fact that this guy's injured. Like, where are you getting your facts from? Firstly, like who called you from Manchester United and said, "Hey, this guy's actually not injured. Here's the pictures." Like what? Anyways, man, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the debates, if you want to see more top 5 themed podcasts on this channel, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And if you made it to the end of this video, you are a legend. And
also, let us know your guys' top 5. Sorry to interrupt, but let us know your guys' top.
Get down in the comments down below. Let us know what your top 5s are. Worst and best, doesn't really matter. But obviously tell us if you mean worst or best too, you don't want to be assuming that Lingard's in a top 5 best team.
Anyways,
peace out.